Back in about 2015, maybe 2016, I weighed about 425 pounds. And I remember one day I was trying to get out of my car in the grocery store parking lot, and I could barely figure it out. Meanwhile, parked a row away, there's this guy, he pulls in with his truck. And as I'm struggling to even get out of my car because I'm so big, he pulls into a disabled parking spot, hops out of his truck, la 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 la. In my memory, he's practically whistling a tune as he dances into the store. And meanwhile, I've got to like hold onto the door frame and get one foot out of the car, planted on the asphalt, somehow angle my body up and out, all while not blowing out my knee, trying to basically do a one legged squat of my entire body weight. And this odd juxtaposition really, I don't want to say it got to me, but it really struck me. And I realized, well, okay, A, that guy was probably borrowing someone else's disabled parking pass. He might not have actually been on the up and up. But I realized that I needed that disabled pass. I needed to be closer to the door because I had a severe mobility issue. And I knew that society wouldn't really care or see me as disabled. And I wouldn't necessarily ask them to because of all the shame that would come along with that. Because, our society tends to be pretty harsh to people with weight issues or any exterior evidence of a mental health issue, right? So this could be about your weight. It could be about some other area where you're just not functional in life where other people are. And it's getting more and more visible. You're feeling more and more shame about it, and it's having more and more of a detrimental effect in your day to day life. Now, what I'm about to say might sound backward, but if I could go back in time and explain to that guy in 2015, me in this story, the essence of what he was dealing with, I would say, John, you are disabled on the outside. You're in a bad situation on the outside, but the inside is way worse, and you know it. The inside is what's creating the outside. And you're going to lose the weight. And the way you're going to do it is by taking the focus off of the weight and putting your focus almost entirely on this inner war that you're caught up in. Getting to the root of why you are so savagely unkind to yourself, why you hold yourself to such unreasonable standards in almost everything you do, why you're never good enough, why whatever you do is never good enough. And the amount at which you do it or the intensity at which you do it is never a big enough amount or intense enough. We need to talk about, compulsive behavior, why we feel compelled to do things to earn comfort or love or, at least a sense of those things. And why those compulsive behaviors never actually fulfill us. They never actually give us the thing that ostensibly we're seeking. And I would have told him, listen, you're obsessed with finding exterior fixes. You're obsessed with trying to find things on the outside that are going to fix the inside. And that's never going to happen. Let that belief die. Let that search die because you're never going to find it in the exterior. What you're looking for is buried under a bunch of stuff. Okay. Everything you're looking for, the life, the answers, the wholeness, the balance, it's all in there. And the reason you're not in touch with it is because there's a bunch of other stuff weighing it down. The process of you becoming healed and whole so that you can lose weight easily and be successful in life, have the relationships you want to have, whatever it is in the exterior world that you would like to improve, the way you get there is not by adding things or trying to install better thinking or better ideas, but to remove the things that are actively stealing from you, that are taking your innate motivation and squashing it out. This is what I would go back and explain to him that, listen, you don't need to try hard in practically any aspect of life because you already want good things, right? You don't need to try hard to move your body because you already want to move your body. I would tell him to stop running from his emotions. I would tell him to turn toward the pain and feel it and let it teach him because it's not a demon. It's not some terrible, scary thing. What it's ultimately trying to convey to him, what those feelings were trying to tell me, is that I was separate from the things that had happened to me. And the things that had happened to me really did happen. The pain was teaching me to believe myself. Not believing yourself, not believing what you know to be true about yourself, about your innate goodness, about the fact that you didn't deserve the bad things that happened to you. This is going to create a lot of pain. I would have taught him that pain is a teacher. Pain is always trying to lead you to truth, Pain is going to lead you to the wound, which in this case, the wound is usually a false belief that got installed because bad things happened to you. Bad things happened, you felt powerless or some type of awful way about what happened. And in trying to control the future and prevent it from ever happening again, you decided to make it about you so that you could have some story about how you could control it. This is part of the logical reason why we take blame for things that we have no business taking blame for. Because if we're to blame, then we can tell ourselves that maybe we could perform differently and prevent it from happening in the future. So it's not, letting yourself off the hook to tell yourself that the things that happened to you weren't your fault. It's actually a form of surrender, not just to the truth, which it is, but you can't shift the blame off of yourself until you can realize that you're not in control of the world and everything that happens to you. And it's delusional to think that you are. And what our ego might tell us is a disempowering thing, to realize that we are small and we are mortal and we don't really control a lot of what goes on in our lives. That by releasing what we don't control, it actually does put us in a position of power because it causes us to focus on our connection to, I guess, the divine. Because no matter how you slice it, dice it, or call it, name it, whatever, we're talking about religious or spiritual ideas here, but I'm just talking about in a logical sense, when you give up this illusion that you control reality, you allow reality to be God. You allow it to be the state in which you reside. When you can allow yourself to be one small piece in a big, big, big puzzle, it takes a lot of the pressure off. It really does. And it dissolves a lot of the thinking that would tell you that you don't deserve good things, that you don't deserve love or care or wholeness or belonging. Because just as it's true that you are one piece and not the whole cannot be the whole without the pieces. And it would have taken a long process. It would have been more than just one conversation. But I would have gone back to that guy in that parking lot in 2015, feeling utterly dejected about his state in life, and encouraged him to allow his heart to heal, to realize all the ways that he was subconsciously and consciously holding wholeness and fullness and completeness at arm's length, like a little puzzle piece, trying to avoid falling into the rest of the puzzle. Why? Probably because in childhood, I learned, like many of you did, that I wasn't enough for someone or a situation. And I think in my case, I came into the world literally into a womb that needed things from me. It wasn't there for me, I was there for it. And I think I started sensing that as my psyche developed, even in utero. I mean, it makes sense. Like if you had a parent who was very self absorbed and this showed up later on in their parenting, well, who's to say that wasn't there when they even decided to have a child? That maybe they decided to have a child for reasons that weren't about the beauty of participating and bringing life into the world and shepherding it and cherishing it and loving it and nurturing it. That maybe it was about, this can get me something, this can solve a problem, right? And so energetically, you can be picking up, even as a fetus, all the ways that this human is trying to bring you into the world to solve their problems, or how they intend to use you as some sort of lightning rod to connect them with the wholeness that they're lacking. And then there's all the other thousands of ways that we can learn in childhood that love and acceptance and belonging are all earned and they're highly conditional. And if we're not working all the time and being perfect, that we're going to lose those essential things. And that's just not true. I would have gone back and I just would have given him a really big hug and helped him see how much he was loved already and how complete he could be and how complete he was and how he had everything he needed and how he didn't need to strive and overwork himself and he didn't need to hurt himself with the things he was putting in his mouth. And he could pick up on that innate motivation to move his body. I would show him that it's there and that he could just, okay, let's just watch. Notice how you just had the desire to get up and go for a walk. Why? No reason. Because you're a human being who's alive and wants to move his body. And I would have helped him get his shoes on and get out the door and have that walk, and not to fix a problem or to lose weight, just to walk and enjoy being alive and to connect to who he really was in that moment. Obviously I can't send this video back in time to myself in 2015, but if you're here watching it, then this is my prayer for you. This is my hope for you, that you can allow yourself to be a part of reality, to let your little puzzle piece click into place, into the reality. And there will be clues that this is happening. When you feel grounded and present in the moment, that's partly what's happening. There's a lot of other mental health and spirituality advice that you've heard over the years that really this is what it's trying to get you to do, is to fully allow yourself to integrate into the whole, into God, the universe, and thereby integrate into the flow of God's will, or the flow of, capital F flow, this universal current of energy and life, and however you want to think about it. Sometimes I think about it in a really grounded, practical way, that it just means being really, really present to reality. And even if there isn't any woo woo spiritual stuff going on, that puts me powerfully present to opportunities, signals in my environment, real things. And that's incredibly powerful too. And when it's hard, just remember that your healing is flowing and you just have to let it. When it gets really hard, just feel that flow of God or the universe or reality flowing through you every time your heart beats, because we are moving through time. Even if you're sitting here in a chair, not moving around in space, you are still moving through time. We are always moving, and reality is moving through us. And if you can't tell, I'm looking outside right now at a tree whose leaves are changing. In reality, we can see change is constant, right? And we are sick because we're so stuck. So the answer to your stuckness isn't like trying really, really, really hard to get unstuck, or using more effort, or doing the right things and being perfect and doing it all the right way. So much of getting unstuck is allowing God to unstick you, allowing the universe, the movement of time and reality, to unstick you from the places where you've been stuck. It's a lot of work to stay stuck. And that's what I would have pointed out to myself in 2015. And that's what I would love to point out to you now. I invite you to lay down your burdens, lay down the daily struggle. And I absolutely invite myself to continue to do the same thing. Share this with anybody who needs to hear it. If you appreciated this, I'd really love to hear from you in the comments. If you want to see more videos like this, I need to know. So you can drop me a like and you can subscribe to the channel. I appreciate your support. God bless, and I'll talk to you next time.